Hi, Rick. Nice to see you.
Good day.
I'll let you get started, and then we'll go over to Mark Followell for your first question.
Yeah, thank you. August 17th, 1965, riots in the Watts neighborhood of Los Angeles, California, sparked by white police beating of a young black man, leave 34 dead, 1,032 injured, nearly 4,000 arrested, and 40 million in damage. So, we're excited for this series. It's been 3 years since we've been to the playoffs, so it's important to be back. There are many challenges in this series, but there are also opportunities, so we're looking forward to it.
Okay, great. Mark, go ahead.
Rick, when you have a team, and this may be a first-time experience for you in terms of having a team with so many key players who are going into the playoffs for the first time, in the hours and minutes leading up to the game, is there anything that you can do or say, or is there even anything that you would want to do or say that would ease nerves or anxiety or the feelings that those players might have going into their first playoff game?
Well, we just need to get going. We need to throw the ball up. They need to be into it. They need to be immersed into it. Words can only go so far. And we've had 3 good days of prep. We've talked about the importance of doing the basics well and playing our game to the best of our ability. There will be many keys. When it comes down to it, the simple things like possession of the ball and taking care of the ball are huge. So rebounding and ball security are big. Little things, which are really big things like screening and spacing, are extremely important. And we've got to play with tempo, and that will be facilitated if we can get some stops. Our concentration defensively at the beginning of the game is going to be very important.
Okay, next up is Tim Cato.
Hey, Rick. Obviously, the narrative, just like Mark was saying, there are a lot of players first time in the playoffs. That said, for Luka and KP, they have been to the Spanish League playoffs. They've been to Eurobasket with their national teams. They've been to the Euro League. Is there an understanding that it's they have been in these very high stakes, high pressure playoff-like situations, even though this is their first NBA season? Do you have a higher expectation for them to be able to adjust to this atmosphere?
Yeah, listen, I have great respect for the international game, the high level of national pride involved with competition with national teams. When Slovenia won the Eurobasket in, I believe, 2017, that was a huge, huge deal. And there was immense emotion, all kinds of things going on. They were a big underdog, and Luka and Dragic were a huge part of that effort. And so, and in KP's case, he's played on the national team. He's played professionally over there, and he's been an NBA player now for really several years. And if you really think about it, the 8 seeding games, which they're calling them, really have been a form of a big playoff series. Every game's been meaningful. Every game's been against a good team that had a chance to, move up when they got here. And so the motivation for everybody has been good. But I'm not the least bit dismissive of international play and the intensity of international play, and how that can be helpful headed into a situation like this.
Okay, Eddie, you're up.
Rick, what playoffs tend to get nasty and a lot of calls go against everybody. How much have you or will you discuss with your team about not getting carried away in emotions or baited into situations that they may regret?
Yeah, the emotions of a playoff series, emotions of really regular season games are a fact of life. We've had emotional things happen, here in our first 8 games. We had one game where I had a technical and Luka had a technical, and and stuff like that. And you know, when those situations happen, we got to learn from them. You know, we've got to learn that, you know, when things get heated, that's when all of us have to come together to calm each other and diffuse and to stay on task. That's extremely important. But there is no substitute for experience. And so, you know, getting into the heat of this, you know, right off the bat is a really an important thing to do, and getting immersed in it, as I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, is what it's going to ultimately be about. And we'll continue to learn from there.
Also, if I could, how is KP and the heel, and does that limit him in any way?
I don't think there's going to be an issue with him with his heel at this point in time. You know, he was able to go through everything that we did the last 3 days, so I think things there are doing well.
Okay, we're going to go to Brad in the room, and then Scott will get the rest of the folks who are in the room. Brad and Scott, take it away.
Doc says that Harrell will play, albeit limited minutes. It might be an emotional lift for them as much as anything, but what dimension does he bring, even in a few minutes on the court?
Well, he affects the game in so many ways. He's a great guy generating possessions with his rebounding. His rolls to the basket cause a huge problem. He's a very underrated fast break player. He beats people down the court all the time. And, you know, he has an effect on their team with his energy and effort. Now, you know, I understand he just broke quarantine this morning. I'm not sure how many days he was in there. Somebody said 7. So, you know, I can see that would be, excuse me. Sorry. Thanks. Well, that would be a challenging situation. Okay. But when he's out there, you're going to know he's out there. I'm very convinced of that.
Two more, Tanya and then Joe.
As you do these, you know, the way you start your press conferences, as you do those things, are you learning yourself about different moments that you're talking about? And what do you think is the value of getting your press conferences done?
It's hard for me to hear you when I can't see your lips.
I also have
Or speak up a little bit.
the way that you start your press conferences, mentioning moments in civil rights and history.
Oh, yeah.
2 questions about that. 1, what do you believe is the value of just simply stating those things? And 2, are you learning things yourself, like about that history?
Yeah. The readings are from the Equal Justice Initiative calendar. Part of our initiative, Coaches for Racial Justice, is a partnership with Bryant Stevenson from Equal Justice Initiative. Pardon me. The calendar, every day of the year, is the anniversary of some event of racial injustice. And so in our discussions with Bryant about the best way to attack this problem, which is a 400-year-old problem, a big part of it is educating people on the history and reckoning with our history and dealing with it. And if we talk about it and bring it forward, it will have a healing effect, and we'll have a chance to chip away and make things better. You know, as coaches, we're teachers, we're educators, and so this is an opportunity. And your second question, have I learned a lot? Absolutely. Learned so much over the last 3 months. It's really been daunting. And so, when you see Black Lives Matter on the court and all the different things that are on messages that are on the players' uniforms, I mean, this is just such an important time in our history that we face these realities and work together to talk about them and make them better.
Is there something every single day of the year? Is a different anniversary is there a different anniversary every day?
Yeah, on the calendar, there is, like the one I read today was from 1965. The one from last week on Monday may have been from 1855 or 1850 or something like that. But we have over 400 years of just hideous examples of systemic oppression and racial injustice, and everything from lynchings to voter suppression to you name it. And this calendar is just it is a reminder that we cannot escape our past. We have to face up to it. We have to deal with it, and being honest about it is our best chance to reckon with it and move forward and become better.
Last question. With all the questions and talk about today being the first playoff game for a number of your guys, it just kind of reminds me of All-Stars playing their first playoff games with like Kyrie and Kevin Love way back when. I remember what that was like. And so what I wanted to ask you was, how long do you think it takes to just get used to the playoffs? Like if you play one playoff game, are you good? You need to go through a series, you need to go through.
In my view, one playoff game goes a long way toward finding out what it's all about. But nothing happens overnight. I mean, if you look at teams that have made the slow climb, have gone through the struggle. You look at Boston; they went through pretty much a whole rebuild, and their guys have been in quite a few playoff situations now. They've fought through some difficult times. They fought to get to the playoffs initially. That's what we've done. But you don't just get to the playoffs just to get to the playoffs. It's about way more than that. Then it's how you compete, and you're competing to win. And so we've got to keep it process oriented in terms of our communication with our guys on the one hand. On the other hand, it's all about everybody in that locker room being together on every single possession, offensively and defensively, to try to pull in the same direction to win a game. And then when you get through one game, then you've got to move to the next one, and the emotions, the experiences you go through with emotions is another big part of it. So this is a beginning tonight. But our job is to jump into this thing, full force. Thank you.
Thanks, Rick. Good luck. We'll talk to you after.